This will be the first time I've ever crossed into Brooklyn by foot. Am I excited? You bet your sweet arsenogen I am. That was so awful. My hands are frozen, plus the jitteriness of the planks in the wood made my legs itch really bad, which is really strange, but we are in Brooklyn and we did stumble upon this. So I'm gonna get as much skateboarding in as possible before the rain kicks in, because apparently we got 3 hours and then bada bing, bada boom. It's one of those spots that definitely doesn't shine any of my skill on a skateboard. It was difficult, but it was fun. The real spot is this perfect 3 block apparently that's right next to the bridge. I don't think it exists anymore. I haven't seen it in forever, but if it does, turning the camera around and we're cruising. Look at these flat bars, they're pretty good. I'll skate this if I don't find anything else. Okay, it claims it's at this carousel right here, which, boom, but is there a 3-stair? Who knows? Holy schmoly mother molly. Look, how does this exist? There's also a guy right there coming out of the door. No, we're good. Okay, okay. Yeah. God, it's cold though. I'm gonna see what I can do before this guy kicks me out. I have a pretty good feeling about this, but it's cold, so my bones might break as soon as I hit the ground. Oh my God, as soon as you cross the edge, it's so windy. Woo! Oh my God! The wind literally catches you in the air. Ah, go for it! It is so windy that I could feel the wind against my back going this direction. So the wind was going faster than it's so windy. Hold on. I have a feeling that the rain is gonna come down any second now, but I am finding cool little spaces. What is this? I definitely don't explore Brooklyn enough. There's a lot of things to check out. I mean, this whole thing is just a big wall that covers up this random garden sitting area. Tight. Oh, and if I start sounding more and more like a douchebag, like, yeah, oh, sick, it's just because I have a cold, so. Well, that was very unproductive. The music was so loud I couldn't concentrate, and oh my gosh. Tight space for this human being. Anyways, I could not concentrate whatsoever. The music was so loud, so I'm going back to the office right now to get some work done, but I did want to do a quick Q&A, 1 question, 1 answer before I get on the subway of doom. Sorry if the wind is insane, but this is a question from T-Brads asking, biggest tip for managing your time when you have too much on your plate, tips for work/life balance. Now these are just a few practical ones, but this one right here, it's a half sheet wide, and I write my to-do list on it every single day. Oh my gosh. As in, I actually write it the night before, so I don't have to think about it when the next morning starts. I'm stuck perfectly in this with the skateboard that's on my book bag. Does this train go to Manhattan? Okay, I'm outside. The weather is pretty bad. The wind is blowing really hard, but another part of the practical tips is everything that you have on the to-do list, make sure that you put around the time that it would take and see if you can finish it all in one day. But for me, as I'm doing the things, I set my timer for a certain amount of time. So I'm like, do this for 30 minutes, do this for 1 hour. And then no matter what, no matter where I am in the event, I'll stop after 30 minutes or an hour. It's so calm and peaceful in this elevator. I'm gonna take a second to soak this up. Nice. All right, let's go. Oh, this place is a wreck. And there's many more tips, but one other thing I would recommend is on the to-do list at the beginning, handle a few really easy tasks. So this is something Michael Phelps, I learned from him, which is really random, but he creates 30 to 40 or some huge list of to-dos to do that he can do really quickly before a big race in the Olympics, so that by the time he gets there, his motivation level is at an all-time high because he's already accomplishing so much in the day. So I would say try to knock out a good 3 to 5 things that you can do in a matter of 30 seconds to a minute. I also use the app Self-Control on my computer, which blocks certain websites. So if I'm finding myself stumbling on YouTube a little too much that day, even though it is my job and I do some research on it, I will put YouTube into self-control and make sure that I can't get on the website. But you did mention multiple things, which is my problem right now. I have 4 or 5 big projects that I'm working on simultaneously, which a lot of people will recommend against. But I found that I am happier working with a few more projects because it creates excitement on a lot of different levels. And I would say just try to focus more time on the things that excite you a little more. So out of those 4 or 5 things, whatever you're doing, focus more on the thing that makes you most excited. Also, I would say try to focus on the one thing that would bring success on all the other things. So with me, YouTube brings a lot of success to other platforms and other businesses that I have. So I try to focus more time on YouTube. Plus, I really like making videos and skateboarding, so it works together perfectly. Alexa, all lights off. Let's go. A day has passed and I was gonna sit inside and talk about something LA skaters versus New York City skaters, but I needed to be outside because it's actually not raining right this second, but it will be probably in like 2 hours or so. So let's knock out this topic. Actually, let's see if the sun is better if we turn this little guy around. Oh, yes. Oh, that background too. Now, one time I read in a skate forum that New York City skaters care more about style because they're not as good as people in LA. They followed that by saying it's because in New York City, you don't have as much time to skate during the year, which that part most definitely is true. Oddly enough, on this island, there are really no places to skate once it rains. You have to go to Staten Island, or there's a place up north a little bit, but you do have to take a trip. You have to travel to go to an indoor park, and there's only a few, but there's literally none in this main city. According to US climate data, it rains or precipitates in some way in New York City 121 days of the year. Now, when I looked at the same information for LA, nothing showed up. It literally couldn't compute how little amount of days that it rains, because sometimes it rains like 4 times in the whole year. I want to say that's an exaggeration, but the first 3 months I went to LA, it rained twice. So the truth is, people in California typically have 3 times the amount of time throughout the entire year to actually go skateboarding. And on top of a lot of those days that are precipitating, it's also too cold or too hot to really do anything at all. In Los Angeles, Southern California, it's almost perfect almost all year. So what I've noticed is that it seems like overall the two cities focus on their different strengths. When I think of the epitome of Los Angeles skateboarding, I think of a company like Primitive, and I feel like they are a pretty good representation of what a lot of kids aspire to skate like in California, pushing the boundaries of the technicality of skateboarding. I could have worded that better. Ah, the sun! You have to change the exposure every 5 seconds. In New York, it seems like people try to focus more on the creativity, so building a spot or finding a spot is a unique aspect to making a skateboarding part. In California, it typically seems like it's just about doing better tricks at spots that people have already skated. Now, of course, there are outliers. There are people in California who do base most of their skating on creativity, and there are people in New York who just want to get better and technically advanced. Dude, so when I think of a company that epitomizes what New York skateboarding is like, I think of everybody behind Theories of Atlantis. It's a skateboard distribution ran by Josh Stewart, who filmed all the static videos, and to this day, he still uses that VX to film videos. And I admit I'm not the biggest fan. I don't really like the cropped sides for video footage, but I understand the romance behind it, especially because I grew up watching that kind of content. And the truth is, I've always been a fan of both. I grew up in South Carolina, so I did grow up watching static videos a lot, and I was like, yo, we need to find the right spots, do the coolest tricks. The sun keeps going away and ruining my footage. But at the same time, I had a skate park and a box and a fly roll, and I wanted to learn as many tricks as I could on those things and then take it to the street. So it was kind of a combination of both. The sun is ridiculous. Okay, all right, auto ISO. I will say recently, definitely with skateboarding, as I've gotten more into the filmmaking aspect of things, I like the way that people in New York City or smaller towns create content. I think they have less of a guide to go by, so they usually create something to me that seems more unique. In California, it seems like there's an easier formula to follow because all the people around you sort of have succeeded in this filmmaking way, and you're like, let's just go along that way. What do you think? Out of seeing the footage that I've shown you on the screen, do you think that New York skating is more fun to watch? Do you think it's more enjoyable? Or would you rather watch skateboarding just constantly being pushed, the technical advancements of skating? Or does the spot matter to you more? I mean, there's this whole artistic cycle, and it is subjective to each individual, but wondering what you like more, what you like to watch more. And also, at least in Manhattan, it seems like there's a lot more foot traffic, a lot more traffic in general, and in California, there's a lot more secluded areas for you to go skateboarding, so it actually seems like the spots are a lot more limited in New York City, especially if you just go by the skate spots apps for each city. LA has 20 times more. To me, I am more interested in the creative side. It's been more fun to see people doing new things on skateboards rather than sort of adding a flip out of a kickflip back tail, because it is harder and I do beyond appreciate it, but it's not as fun for me to watch now. Maybe because it's not as relatable. Maybe now I focus more on the quality of spot and trick because I can't do the technical advancement tricks. That could be it.